The biological cure to separation anxiety. You step out for 20 minutes, returning to shredded pillows and a pacing rescue pet. We get frustrated, assuming they act out of spite. Science proves this wrong. It is a biological panic response from a displaced pack member. To cure this, we must decode 12 signs of separation anxiety. Wait for point 12 for the ultimate emotional revelation. Point 1. Acoustic broadcast. They howl when you leave. We think it is annoying, but they risk alerting predators to guide you back. Point 2. Olfactory self-soothing. Chewing worn shoes isn't revenge. It extracts your scent to lower cortisol. Point 3. Perimeter breach. Scratching doors risks injury, proving their drive to reunite overrides self-preservation. Point 4. Pre-departure shadowing. Following your feet isn't playing Innis. They track you to beg for inclusion. Point 5. Fasting state. Refusing treats means their nervous system is focused on your absence and digestion suspends. Point 6. Stress evacuation. Being inside isn't spite. Terror forces involuntary evacuation because they miss your protection. Point 7. Hyperarousal reunion. Unhinged greetings aren't bad manners. They celebrate your intact return. Point 8. Kinetic tension release. Repetitive pacing burns fat to process the adrenaline spike. Point 9. Hypersalivation. Drool rapidly depletes hydration, proving severe distress. Point 10. Somatic tremoring. Shivering when you grab a coat isn't guilt. They vibrate with anticipatory grief. Point 11. Resource guarding. Gathering socks into bed isn't thievery. They build a surrogate pack member to self-medicate. Point 12. Stagnant vigilance. They sit frozen, staring out the door for hours. We think they are zoning out, but abandoning peripheral awareness invites an ambush. They shut down self-preservation to dedicate total focus to your promised return. Your rescue isn't misbehaving. They suppress survival mechanics, ignoring food and safety solely to wait for you. This bond proves their anxiety is absolute reliance. By decoding this, you transcend being a frustrated owner. You become their chosen protector, and offering patience is the ultimate cure. Point 4. The pre-departure shadowing. You know the exact moment this begins. You reach for your coat or simply pick up your keys, and suddenly your new rescue is glued to your ankles. They follow you into the kitchen, then back to the hallway, staying mere inches from your feet. Your human reaction is probably a heavy sigh. You think they are just being clingy, or intentionally getting in your way. But pause and look at this through the lens of biology. In the wild, resting is crucial. An animal does not abandon a perfectly good resting state to mirror the erratic micro-movements of another creature unless survival depends on it. When your pet shadows your every step, they are utilizing high-level predictive tracking. They have memorized your specific departure rituals. They are not trying to trick you. They are begging for inclusion in the hunt, terrified of being left behind by their leader. Point 5. The fasting preservation state. This is a heartbreaking one that leaves owners completely baffled. Before you walk out the door, you leave a fresh bowl of food or high-value treats, thinking it will keep them busy. But when you return hours later, that food isn't touched. Most people assume their pet is just being a picky eater or throwing a hunger strike to protest being left alone. That is a human projection. In the wild, passing up guaranteed calories is an evolutionary death sentence. Animals do not refuse available food unless their body is incapable of processing it. When your rescue ignores that treat in your empty house, their nervous system is so hyper-focused on your absence that their biological digestion protocols have been entirely suspended. They literally cannot eat. Their body has paused basic survival functions because the stress of missing you consumes their focus. Point 6. The stress-induced evacuation. Let us discuss the behavior that causes the most frustration. You come home to a mess on the floor, even though your rescue is fully house-straightened. The immediate human reaction is anger. We look at the mess and think the pet left a dirty present to show how mad they are. We think it is spite. But animals do not understand spite. In the wild, abruptly emptying the bowels is a physiological response during a state of extreme fight or flight terror. When your pet has an accident, they are not punishing you. Their neurological panic threshold was breached. The overwhelming fear of losing their protector triggered a severe distress response, physically forcing an involuntary evacuation. They were terrified into losing control of their body because the person who makes them safe walked out the door. Point 7. The hyper-arousal reunion. Imagine you just ran to the mailbox. You are gone for exactly 5 minutes. But when you open the front door, your rescue acts completely unhinged. They jump, they scream, and they practically tackle you. Most of us look at this frantic greeting and think our pet is just overly dramatic or lacking basic manners. We might even scold them to settle down. But let us look at the wild. In nature, expending massive, chaotic bursts of adrenaline leaves an animal exhausted and highly vulnerable to attack. They do not waste this precious energy on a whim. When your pet explodes with emotion the second you walk inside, they are executing a profound biological celebration. Their brain is chemically processing the absolute relief that their primary survival unit, you, has returned to them intact. Point 8. The kinetic tension release. Perhaps you set up a pet camera to see what happens while you are at work. You check the footage and see your pet pacing back and forth in a repetitive, unbroken line across the living room carpet. Your immediate thought is probably that they are simply bored or hyperactive. However, in the wild, pacing without a destination means burning necessary fat reserves without covering any actual ground or acquiring resources. It is biologically pointless and dangerous. Therefore, doing this in your house means they are engaging in an involuntary locomotive loop. Their body is desperately trying to physically process the overwhelming adrenaline spike caused by your sudden absence. They are not trying to entertain themselves. They are trying to literally walk off the severe panic of being left behind. Point 9. The hypersalivation response. You come home after a long shift, and you find your rescue pet soaking wet around the muzzle. Or you notice actual puddles of saliva on the floor. Humans often shrug this off, thinking the pet was just hot or maybe smelling the neighbor cooking dinner. But look at the evolutionary cost. In the wild, hypersalivating means rapidly depleting hydration levels, leading straight to dangerous dehydration. An animal's body tightly regulates water retention. So, when your pet is drooling profusely in your temperature-controlled home, their autonomic nervous system has triggered a severe distress response. It is a physical manifestation of pure anxiety, proving the staggering depth of their psychological attachment to you. Point 10. The somatic tremoring. You grab your coat, and your new pet instantly begins to visibly shake or shiver. As humans, we think they are suddenly cold or trying to guilt-trip us into staying. But consider evolutionary biology. In the wild, shivering without a temperature drop is an involuntary muscular misfire that broadcasts weakness to passing predators. It is a massive survival risk. Therefore, when your rescue trembles, they are experiencing anticipatory grief. Their physical body is literally vibrating with the crushing emotional weight of your impending departure. Point 11. The resource guarding transference. Sometimes you return to find your rescue has gathered your dirty socks, the remote, and your blanket, dragging them into their bed without destroying them. We chuckle and think the pet is just being a mischievous thief. But think about the wild. Hoarding non-consumable items provides zero nutritional or defensive value. It is a waste of effort. So, when your pet builds this nest, they are attempting to build a surrogate pack member out of your highest scented artifacts. They are desperately trying to self-medicate their anxiety. And now, point 12. The stagnant vigilance posture. This is the ultimate revelation. You check your pet camera and see them sitting completely frozen, staring unblinkingly out the exact door you exited through for hours on end. Humans assume the pet is just zoning out. But in nature, doing this means turning their back to the environment. It means deliberately abandoning peripheral awareness and inviting a lethal blind spot ambush. Therefore, when your rescue does this, they have completely shut down all other self-preservation instincts. They are dedicating 100% of their biological focus to the exact vector of your promised return. As revealed in this final behavior, your rescue isn't misbehaving. They are suppressing every ingrained survival instinct they have. They ignore food, safety, and rest solely to guard the door waiting for you. This animal is overriding its core evolutionary mechanics strictly due to its overwhelming bond with you. Their anxiety is a manifestation of absolute reliance. By decoding these signals, you transcend being a frustrated pet owner trying to fix a broken animal. You step into the role of their chosen protector and biological exception. In the end, offering them patience is the ultimate cure. You are their whole world, and they just need to know